Hi, I'm Soumya Rai, and today I will be talking about language processing, which refers to the way human beings formulate words, phrases, and sentences, and the way we understand what is being spoken or read. There are four major parts in the left hemisphere that are involved in language processing, the first being the Broca's area. That was discovered by Paul Broca, a French surgeon who discovered that damage in this area of the brain causes difficulty in speech production after his observations of patient Tan, a man named Louis Victor Leborn, who was only capable of saying the word tan, but was able to comprehend what others were saying. The Broca's area is crucial for speech production and is also known as the anterior speech cortex. The second part is the Wernicke's area, that was discovered by Karl Wernicke, a German doctor who discovered that damage in this area of the brain causes speech comprehension difficulties based on his observations of a patient known as SA. The Wernicke's area is crucial for understanding speech and is also known as the posterior speech cortex. The motor cortex is the third part involved in language processing, and it generally controls muscle movements. The part of the motor cortex that is closer to the Broca's area controls articulatory muscles such as the face, jaw, tongue, etc. Finally, the arcuate fasciculus is a bundle of axons that connects the Wernicke's and Broca's areas. In general, when we speak, we first formulate what we are going to say in the Wernicke's areas. Then our plan for speech is transmitted to the Broca's area, and finally the motor cortex carries out the plan of speech. However, there are slight differences in the process depending on whether we are repeating a word that we heard or speaking a written word. When we are repeating a word we hear, the process starts in the auditory cortex, which processes the sound. Then we move to the Wernicke's area, which creates a plan for what we are going to say, and that is transmitted to the Broca's area, which causes the production of speech by activating the vocal apparatus in the motor cortex. When we are speaking a written word, the process begins in the visual cortex, which processes the text. Then we move to the angular gyrus, which is the part of the brain that processes the text and creates the auditory code. This then moves to the Wernicke's area, which plans what is going to be said, which is transmitted to the Broca's areas, which causes the production of speech by activating the vocal apparatus in the motor cortex. Aphasia is defined as the loss of ability to understand or express speech due to acquired brain damage, usually in regions within the left hemisphere of the brain, and it can be caused by injury, strokes, or seizures. There are two main types of aphasia, fluent aphasia and non-fluent aphasia. Fluent aphasia is often caused due to damage to the left temporal lobe, resulting in difficulty in comprehending speech. However, some fluent aphasic patients may understand short individual words. Their speech may sound normal in tone, but it is often riddled with errors, making it unintelligible. Non-fluent aphasia is often caused by damage to the left frontal lobe, resulting in speech output being slow and requiring lots of effort and lacking complexity. Non-fluent aphasic patients can comprehend spoken language, but they may not fully understand complex sentences. People with Wernicke's aphasia, which is a type of fluent aphasia, have difficulty understanding the speech of others and produce unintelligible speech as stated before. They generally do not realize that their speech is unintelligible and are surprised when others are unable to understand them. They may have paragrammatic speech, which is basically when someone uses incorrect meraphonemes. For example, they may say to you instead of for you, or they may substitute words for each other. This type of aphasia occurs due to the damage to the Wernicke's area. People with Broca's aphasia, which is a type of non-fluent aphasia, have difficulty speaking with their speech being slow and halting, but they are able to comprehend what others say. They may have agrammatic speech, which is when function words are missing. For example, words like a, an, or the, and even verb tenses are left out. This occurs due to damage to the Broca's area. Another type of aphasia is pure word deafness, which is caused due to damage to the superior temporal lobes in both hemispheres. People with pure word deafness are unable to comprehend heard speech as they can't link the sound of words to their meaning. However, they are not deaf since they are still able to hear music and other sounds and are also able to detect the tone, emotion, and the gender of a speaker. They are able to understand written language as visual information bypasses the damaged auditory comprehension area of the temporal lobes. We do not know everything about language processing, and recent discoveries are helping us gain a better understanding. FOXP2 is a language-associated gene that codes for a protein that switches other genes on and off in various parts of the brain. Studies have found that mutations in this gene can cause difficulty in making mouth and jaw movements that are vital for speech production. Similarly, mutations in the FOXP2 gene can interrupt the flow of information through the striatum and cause speech defects. This gene is very important in regulating signaling between the motor and speech regions of the brain. Functional imaging studies have found additional brain structures involved in language processing. Portions of the middle and inferior temporal lobe are responsible for accessing the meaning of words, and there is a possibility that the anterior temporal lobe plays a role in sentence-level comprehension. Additionally, the left posterior temporal lobe contains a sensory motor circuit for speech, which may help communication between systems for speech recognition and production, as well as support verbal short-term memory. This picture shows the areas of the brain responsible for motor and sensory actions. This concludes the lecture on language processing. Thanks for listening.